Well, if the AI is the defining race of the 21st century, Europe is running in place. The U.S. has the innovation of Silicon Valley. China has state-backed scale and speed. Europe has bureaucracy. Their specialty is regulating and taxing industries created somewhere else. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, speaking in Munich on Saturday, says that must change.
Together, we can reindustrialize our economies and rebuild our capacity to defend our people. But the work of this new alliance should not be focused just on military cooperation and reclaiming the industries of the past. It should also be focused on together advancing our mutual interests in new frontiers, unshackling our ingenuity, our creativity, and the dynamic spirit to build a new Western century. Commercial space travel and cutting-edge artificial intelligence.
I mean, that sounds super uplifting, Kevin. But can Europe do it? Like, are they? You always talk about loser states in America. Are they a loser union?
It's a fair comment to make, but let me point something out that is the proof in the pudding that Europe could look at and say, can we find a place on Earth where only 50 years ago they set up policy that was pro-business, pro-innovation, pro-capital markets? Even though it wasn't a democracy, it's called the United Arab Emirates. Look at what they have created.
Somehow I knew you were going there.
Because I do business there like everybody else you know in New York. When you go there, it's all the New York guys setting up their businesses there at 9% tax rate. And the fact is, they innovate. They're number 3 in AI now. And they have nothing to do with Europe in terms of regulation. So the answer to Europe is, after the Second World War, they screwed themselves. They put a regulatory environment in so onerous that everybody just brought their dough to the United States and developed their companies here and stole the people that were innovators. And I rest my case on this one. We took the guys that were bombing us, the V2 rocket scientists, and made them Americans and stuck them here. And they built NASA. I mean, that's Europe losing the best and brightest geniuses. By the way, we shouldn't change that policy. We should keep bringing over any genius from anywhere and train them here. Otherwise, the Chinese will. So that's the new race. But is Europe screwed? So far, they are.
Okay.
Rubio gave a good message.
So there is kind of a split in Europe, though, Kennedy. You've got, like, Macron on one side, and he's saying, we can do it, you know, but we're going to spend $30 million. I mean, that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
On AI.
That's like taking a hot influencer to Chipotle. Not really.
Nothing wrong with Chipotle.
Absolutely not.
But then you've got other folks in Europe. You've got Giorgia Meloni, I guess, down in Italy. Okay, you've got Merz. He's in Germany, right? They seem to be like singing from a slightly different hymnal. They seem to be a little more interested in not so much of the regulatory state.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a genuine battle for the heart of Europe there that might help them do more of what Kevin's talking about?
Yes, and what France is stuck in is the old hymn book. And, you know, that level of stagnation and bureaucracy is only going to pull them down further. French voters know what Macron is incredibly unpopular right now. And, you know, he's had a year to juice his AI program. He's like, $30 million. What will we think of next? Meanwhile, in the U.S. are like, oh, no, we're like up to 30 trillion.
Right.
You know, that might be a mild exaggeration. But the point is, like, the reason you're seeing a rebound from Germany is because they were walloped. They were walloped on energy and car manufacturing. And, you know, they were not nimble. So they are starting to see, oh, wait, if you take off the shackles and let industry do what it wants to do, it wants to thrive, get government out of the way. The actors who see that in Europe, they will make wonderful partnerships with the United States. But why do they want to be brought down by the rest of the EU?
Right.
You know, and now they're starting to look like Ireland in 2010.
Very interesting. Taylor, I noticed that a lot of big tech CEOs went to India this week. I don't know if they go to Europe very often. I think when they go to Europe, it's to fight lawsuits. But I don't think they go there because they're looking to the future. India is one of those countries they're going to. So is AI going so fast that if you started so far behind, forget about catching up? I mean, is Europe just out of this? Or does Marco Rubio have a point? Like, we can do this together. We're better together.
I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it again. Europe doesn't get it. In Davos, we talked about this yesterday, 2025. Nicola Mendelsohn, who runs Meta's global business, came out and said, oh my gosh, the U.S. has created all these trillion-dollar companies and Europe hasn't really done anything because high energy costs, regulation, 27 different laws that no one knows how to follow. Oh, and guess what? We can't innovate. Davos 2026, Brian, the same thing. They're still complaining about the same stuff that hasn't changed. Listen to some of the comments from a year later, from 2025 to 2026, it's identical. They're saying Europe's high cost of doing business, including steep energy costs, complex regulations, are major hindrances in the region's ability to attract investment and innovate. I mean, it took them a couple years. They still don't get it. I see you're Germany and I raise you one. Let's do a little pop quiz.
Okay.
America's biggest company. We know what it is. What is it?
Meta.
NVIDIA.
Exactly right. That's what I said.
Meta's
Sometimes
close.
it sounds like Meta when I say it.
Meta's in there. $4.5 trillion. All of our big tech companies are about $3 to $4 trillion right now. Europe's biggest company, public company by market cap. Take a wild guess.
Tech, SAP?
1 trillion.
SAP is number
IKEA.
2.
Okay.
And it's $250 billion in market cap.
Wow.
That's why they.
ASML, top, I think it's Dutch.
Yeah.
550 billion. So we're creating, minting trillion-dollar companies that are in AI that are changing the world, and they are still relying on SAP. Germany, the big industrial conglomerate, can't even get it together.
So, David, is Europe too much of a fixer-upper? You know, sometimes you buy a fixer-upper because you know you can fix it, and sometimes the thing just you're not going to bring it back.
I don't
Marco
think,
Rubio
I
has
don't
faith.
think you can. I don't think you can consider Europe as a whole. I think you have to pick it apart. There are some countries that are doing extremely well. I think Poland right now is doing well. A lot of countries that were part of the old Soviet Union have broken away, and they know what socialism is. They said no, but the EU itself, and let's be specific, more specific than that. I think it starts later than after World War II, because that World War II, they were starting from ground zero and they built up. There was an excitement about Europe that we imposed on a lot of their economic policies, but it really started with the European Parliament in the late 1990s when they created the euro, had created this extraordinarily horrible bureaucracy, which is in 2 places, in Brussels and Strasbourg in France. And both of those places, you go there, you see a lot of these twits, these political twits. These are a lot of people who were left over from the monarchies of the old Europe, and they had nothing to do. So they said, "Oh, I'll become a parliamentarian." So they go to Europe, and the European Parliament, along with the Council of the European Union, are the ones who create the regulations. You're having these twits who know nothing about business. They're people who've had a golden spoon in their mouths from the time that their great-grandparents were born. And they're devising these very complex schemes that are the enemy of innovation. They are the absolute enemy. As long as they're attached to this idea of the European Parliament, I think they're stuck. They won't be on the cutting edge of any innovation anywhere. There are certain countries, again, ironically, those that were attached to the communist Soviet Union, that are making their own path away from the Union, the European Union itself. And I think that is their problem. Until they divorce themselves from that horrible idea, which never performed as it was supposed to, they're stuck.
But Poland is very vibrant. You can feel the difference when you go to that country. They want the innovation, they want the investment, and they're very serious about immigration. And they get lambasted for it by other Western European countries. And they're like, don't tell us what to do. We know what's working.
But if you're a country that shuts down for the whole month of August, which the French have done forever, and I mean shuts down, how could you possibly compete? However, I love the food.
Oh, yeah. Cheese?
Cheese is good. Love cheese. Got to shut down this conversation.